Hi, welcome to Clarity Tarot. I'm excited about this reading today. Our topic will be Message from Your Shadow Self. This is by request from Terry. Terry very kindly sent me two different decks from my wish list. We have the Everyday Tarot Mini deck and the Pocket Animal Spirit deck. So we'll be using both of these in today's reading. Thank you so much, Terry. So if you would like to send me a deck to use on the channel and also pick a topic or two for what to use the decks for, Terry also suggested the Message from Your Shadow Self topic. So I've never read on this quite this way before. Should be an interesting read. And what else do I say about this? She also let me know that there's an issue with my wish list. First of all, it was still set to California. Oops. And there were just some things that needed updating in there. So I'm hoping that is all fixed now. But if anyone does have trouble with that, please let me know, because I want there to be a clean flow from me to you, or from you to me, with gifts of decks. I always appreciate it so much. It's so fun for me. And I always think of the person that gave me the deck while I'm using it, and it's just such a nice connection for me. So I really appreciate Terry, thank you so much, and all of those in the past who have gifted me a deck. So let's jump into today's reading. We have pile 1 with the throat chakra stone. Pile 2 is the sacral chakra. Oh, it's wanting to jump around. Pile 3, we have solar plexus. Pile 4, we have base chakra. And pile 5, we have throat chakra. Check the description box for the timestamp for your reading. Pause if you need more time to select a group, and I'll see you there. Hey pile 1, thank you so much for being here today. Let's check out what cards you have for Message from Your Shadow Self. And we have the Earthworm. So this is, not surprisingly, an earth element animal spirit. Let me tap into this a moment and we'll get the message from your shadow self. So let's start by describing your shadow self before we pull through the message. So the earthworm is kind of the part in each of us where we feel out of our depth, like we need to slink into the shadows or stay underground, like we don't want to be seen, like maybe we're apprehensive or afraid. We don't want to speak up, we don't want to show out, we don't want to be seen even, like we don't want to be visible. So it's kind of, the upside would be like beginner's mind, but that's not how this is experienced. If it is your shadow self, it's like, I have nothing to offer, I have nothing to say, I'm not good enough, smart enough, whatever enough. I'm embarrassed, I'm ashamed. I'm getting a lot of shame come through this, actually. Like there's something inherently wrong with me. I am not enough, and I don't know if I'll ever get there. So no accident that we have the heart chakra stone here. Heart chakra, a heart chakra that's out of balance, to me is filled with grief and unprocessed emotions. A lot of like losses or troubles that have piled up and not been experienced, cleared and released. So this is what's happening in your shadow self. Why is it here? I'm going to pull a few cards for that first. Like why do you have this particular shadow self? And we're going to use the Everyday Tarot for this. It's a new deck, so it's a little stiff, so it might take me an extra moment, but here we go. So we are asking, why does pile 1 have this shadow self? First card jumping out is the 8 of Swords. Okay, so the 8 of Swords to me is like being mentally conflicted, feeling like I can't say anything. Maybe I can't say anything right. I'm not understood. I'm taken the wrong way. I always say the wrong thing. I get embarrassed. People see the truth of how terrible or how weak or how silly or stupid I am if I speak up. And so this makes me feel like I have no choices. There's nothing I can do to change my situation for the better. The best thing I can do is hide, avoid. Four of Cups. Four of Cups is about the grass is greener, or seeing the downside, only the downside. And look at this. We have the Four of Cups to the Five of Cups to the Six of Cups. And the Ace of Pentacles at the back. So I think it's feeling this way for you because maybe there's some things that you see that you want and you just have no idea how to make it happen. With the Six of Cups, the example that's coming to mind is something like maybe you see let's say your whole life you've been longing for like the person that's meant for you, your soulmate, and maybe now you've met that person or who you think is that person, and you're realizing like, I just don't have the skills to land this. I can't even make this happen. And so that's bringing up a lot more of this earthworm energy, the grief. You might be flooded with negative emotion in the heart chakra, just thinking about this person that you love, which, I mean, how unfortunate and uncomfortable is that? Like, you love them, you should be feeling the love, but there's so much like backlog in your heart chakra that it's hard for you to even access the love. So it might be even painful for you to try to talk to this person or think about them because they touch your heart so much that like it opens, and then you just get flooded with grief, maybe anger, shame, lots of really unpleasant emotions. And it's all due to this shadow self energy, the kind of like the hiding or not wanting to be seen for who I truly am, quote unquote. And the only way to avoid that is just to not speak up. So why is this here? I think we've answered that a bit, that there's basically unprocessed experiences. So an example of what the opposite of this might be would be, let's say, I'm going to use romance again. Since it's the heart chakra and that's what's wanting to come through. Let's say you fell in love with somebody in kindergarten and you tried to become their buddy, or maybe you tried to kiss them on the playground, or whatever happened. And maybe that didn't go well. Maybe the other children laughed at you. Maybe it was embarrassing or shameful for you in one way or another. And so in order to not feel that, maybe you became kind of mean to that person or rejected them before they could reject you, and shut yourself off from your own feelings of shame and embarrassment as a way to protect yourself. And maybe that did protect you short term from the rejection you were feeling from that person. But then this became a pattern of you not being able to access your heart, and it just kind of built up over time and made you less and less emotionally available to the things that you do want, and less able to just process like, oh, that was disappointing, it didn't go the way I want, I feel ashamed, letting those emotions kind of run through you, and then giving yourself some compassion and trying again the next day, basically, is kind of where this, I think, has come from. And now we're going to ask for a message to come through from the shadow self. So what does this earthworm want to say for pile one? What does the earthworm want to say for pile one, to pile one? Three of Cups in reverse. What else wants to come through for the message from the shadow self for pile one? Six of Pentacles. Two of Wands. And the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. I know the truth. And the truth is that everyone's out to get you. No one's your friend. There's no such thing as really a friend. There's only people that want to take from you. There's only people that see that you have something to offer that they want, whether it's your money, your time, your emotional energy, or you being the butt of a joke. There's no such thing as being able to plan ahead with someone. There's no such thing as progress or growth in a relationship or there being a positive future for you. All you can do is try to hope that it doesn't get worse and protect yourself from anything going bad. And really just protect yourself from people at all because they're unpredictable. There's no such thing as altruism or care or someone really wanting to connect with you, the real you. And that's my job. I'm here to keep you safe, to keep you from being rejected, to keep you from feeling everything that we don't want to feel. How small we can be. I can make you bigger. If you reject everyone else first, you can feel bigger, you can feel safe, you can feel okay. If you never try anything that's beyond your skill level, you won't ever feel like a fool. So I'll show you the places where you can have control, where you can be enough, where you won't have to feel those vulnerable feelings. This is how I help you. This is how I keep you safe. Okay, so I think that was the message from the shadow self. Let me just tap in here and see what I want to do now. Like I knew coming into this reading, like it's obviously going to be maybe a little bit on the darker side or more negative. I think the only other thing I want to say here is maybe I want to let the reading stand on its own. Thanks for your patience, Pile 1, as I'm figuring out exactly where I want this reading to go since I haven't done this topic quite this way before. I think that's as far as I want to go with this one. So that was the message from your shadow self, what your shadow self is and where it comes from. So I'd be really curious, it would be really helpful to me if you leave a comment and let me know if this was a helpful reading for you, or even if this felt like too much or like discouraging in some way. I'd be curious to hear that too, because I'm really interested to know how this topic supports you or doesn't, or even if you'd be expecting something else if you clicked on a reading that says message from your shadow self. Any of that would be like very helpful feedback to me. And thank you so much for being here, Pile 1. I hope it resonated or was helpful in some way, and I'll see you in the next reading. Hey, Pile 2, welcome to your reading. We are listening to a message from your shadow self. I didn't mention this in the last pile, and maybe I should have to start out. Like, this could be a triggery reading. You know, it's by nature kind of dark. It's about that part of you that none of us maybe like to acknowledge or feel all that often, but trying to just personify that part of us and understand it a bit better. So if you're feeling especially sensitive, might not be the time to watch this reading, okay? But if you'd like to proceed, here we go. And we are wanting to understand your shadow self. We have the golden egg, the scorpion, and the crow. So 3 different elements. I think we have, is it the wind element and fire and ether with these 3. So let me tap in here. And first we're going to describe your shadow self. Okay, Pile 2, your shadow self. So this has to do with the sacral chakra stone, your creative and sensual energy. And here's how I'm getting this message come through. Your shadow self is the side of you that wants to bond deeply with others. And you do that to a degree that there's this shadow side that almost like outsources your sense of self to them. I'll give you an example of what I mean. Let's say you have a best friend and you're very close to this best friend. It almost feels enmeshed. Like sometimes you feel like everything they say, you think, oh, I'm just like that. Or there's just a lot of like mirroring and aligning that goes back and forth. And you're wanting to be as close to that person as possible. Perhaps over time, you also come to depend on them. Maybe this best friend, as an example, could also be a romantic partner or parent or anyone really, even a pet. You begin to see yourself through their eyes, and you begin to, like, your sense of self begins to depend on them. So if they say something a little bit wrong to you, or if they don't mirror you back in the way that you want or expect, or if they say something that you feel like isn't the way you want to be perceived, this can trigger anger, resentment, frustration, hypersensitivity, and it can be very triggering to the point of you feeling ungrounded. So this is a very human thing. We all have this, but for it to come out as your shadow side, it's a bit exaggerated. So when this is in balance, it's like, okay, I love that person and they said that I disappointed them and I was disloyal to them, and that was really hurtful and painful, and I want to talk to them about that because I don't want them to feel that way, and I don't want to feel that way about myself either. So I need to talk it out. Like there's that's I guess more in balance. Like you're triggered, but you're still able to work with it. But this shadow self is coming through more like, I can't believe that person would say that I'm disloyal. What about this, this, and this about you? You should know that I am the most loyal person ever because of this, this, and this. And how dare you suggest that I am not like that? So there's not only like a rejection of anything that it isn't how you want to be mirrored, there's also an extreme reaction. So it can cause others to walk on eggshells a bit around whatever your reactions may or may not be. And so the next question is like, why is this here? And the answer for that is that your sense of self lives in that other person, not in you. That's why the golden egg is here, because this golden egg is like you belonging to your own heart. How do I explain this? Being the keeper of your own heart. It's like you don't get to decide actually who I am. Even if you're someone that I love and trust, it's not your job to tell me who I am and to give me all the love, compassion, and acceptance. Like that's actually an inside job. That job belongs to me. And when I take over that role of validating, approving of, and loving myself, then I let you off the hook. You don't have to be like the source of my emotional support. And also, I'm not as reactive to what you say because I understand that, like, I'm not dependent on you for emotional sustenance. You can have your own opinions. You can be wrong about me sometimes, and that doesn't threaten who I am because who I am belongs to me. It's inside of me. And for this shadow self to be coming up for you, your sense of self is actually living in someone else's hands more than it should. So, should in quotes, it's like if you had less of this shadow self, you would have a lot less volatility, a lot less sensitivity, because what other people say, it wouldn't matter as much because it's not where your sense of self comes from. And it's like the downside to this strength you have of wanting to create like a symbiotic relationship with others, but it's just like ever so slightly too exaggerated. You need a bit more space not space in the relationship, how would I say this? A little less dependence on each other, a little less codependence, a little more interdependence versus codependence. But that's not what this reading is about, how to change this. It's just how to understand your shadow self, okay? So we're going to keep going now and pull a message from... Well, actually, let me first, since I did this for pile 1, anything else about why the shadow self exists in pile 2. Seven of Swords. So this card for me is sometimes about deceit. A lot of times I see it as like self-deceit or almost like low self-esteem, which honestly is self-deceit. Low self-esteem is not seeing how inherently valuable and wonderful you are. That's the truth. So deceit, self-deceit would be criticizing yourself in a way that's inappropriate. And so maybe part of why this is coming through here too as well is it's almost like you're expecting the other person to be more for you than they can be. And I think it goes vice versa, pile 2. I think you expect yourself to be bigger to that other person than is also reasonable. Maybe you expect to be the best friend they've ever had, to meet their every need, to be their everything at every moment. And that's not a reasonable expectation of you to have on yourself either. It also creates this shadow side. What else about why does the shadow side exist for pile 2? We have the Knight of Swords in the reverse, the Fool, the Magician, the Two of Swords, the Three of Swords. I think when you get triggered this way, I mean, with the Scorpion, how does the Scorpion behave? You know, they see danger and they lash out. They sting first. It's like, because you have this expectation that you be the perfect partner or friend to that person, if anything threatens that idea, you have to attack first. And vice versa, if someone is saying or suggesting that you're not as ideal as you expect yourself to be inside, you would also strike first, because you don't want to feel heartbroken. You don't want to feel disappointed, and you don't want to feel that you have disappointed someone else. And there's something about this that strikes to your sacral chakra. It's like your viability as a person. It's an interesting message to get with this, because I would more get that with like the solar plexus, but the way it's coming through for you, pile 2, is it's like, if I'm not a 10 out of 10, I have no right to exist. It feels very extreme, which I think is why the extreme response comes through. Interesting. Okay, and now a message from the shadow self. So I'm going to pull this message and channel the message, and then I'm going to leave that to stand on its own for the reading without interpretation too much. So hope it'll be useful for you, pile 2. So message from the shadow self for pile 2. We have Justice, the Hanged Man, Death, and Temperance. Well, so pile 2, I am here to protect you, to make sure that you have meaning in the world, that you have a reason for being, a reason for existing. You must be indispensable. Just being a normal person is not enough. You have to be the best. And I help you be the best. And if anyone starts to see us as not the best, I help you cut that down. I know it might feel a little weird, and the way I go about it, maybe you question my methods sometimes, but I'm here to help you, actually. I'm here to help you reach enlightenment, to be the best spiritual being you could possibly be. And I do that by pushing you to be the best, by bringing you these different intense relationships and intense experiences so that you can change, even if it's a way that's really painful. Every time I throw you into one of these intense situations, you come out transformed, don't you, pile 2? Aren't you happy that I exist because I help you transform like this? I know it's painful, but this is the only way to be the best. It's the only way. We have to push ourselves. I mean, I guess if you want to accept mediocrity, if you want to just be content and happy and not be the top 1% of anything, then you don't need me. But I help you get to where you want to go. I help you be who you want to be. I help you have that tractor beam inside you that sucks other people in that also want to transform in a deep way. I'm just giving you what you want, pile 2. You want to be the best? This is how it happens. Okay, interesting message, pile 2. I gotta know what you thought about this. Do you agree with that message that you heard from the shadow self there? Any thoughts about it? I'm gonna try to not interpret it for you, but would love to hear what resonated or even what didn't. Let me know what you thought, and I will see you in the next reading. Hey, pile 3, if you picked the solar plexus, this is going to be your reading. So let's see what cards you have. You have the lizard. So I think the lizard, let me tap in a little deeper here. Lizard as the shadow self. Okay, so first we're going to describe the shadow self, then talk about why is it here. So lizard as the shadow self. This is the ability to sense what's coming. It's vision. It's what's around the corner. And there can be a beauty in this shadow. The beauty is like, I know what might be evolving next. The place where the shadow comes in is it keeps me disconnected from what's happening actually right here, right now. Like some would say that the present moment is all that truly exists, not the past and not the future. They're both illusions in a way. And this lizard, this shadow self, prevents pile 3 from ever actually living their lives because they're sensing what's going to be happening next, how to prepare, how to shift. And then once I get to that message, get to that moment, I'm preparing for the next one. So I'm never truly where I am. Solar plexus here is interesting. Solar plexus is about my agency, my ability to not create, that's not the right word, to literally act in the world. And if I'm always sensing what's coming, that I'm never doing or adapting now. If I'm always perceiving, sensing, listening. Why is this here? The first message that was already coming through about why this is here is it's the shadow side of a gift of foresight, the gift of maybe even a psychic gift, a spiritual gift. But can you say more, Spirit, about why is this shadow here? We have 7 of Cups. To me, this is a mental energy, an overthinking energy. It's racing thoughts. Could be fears. Could be anxiety. Why is this here? Why is the shadow self here? We have 10 of Pentacles in reverse. The Empress, the Tower, the Star, and the Moon. Why is this here? Oops, I'm just realizing you can't see that too well. Let's move it up. Why is this shadow self here? I think simply you aren't where you want to be. And when we aren't where we want to be, there's a few different possible responses to that. And one possible response is being focused on the future, on dreaming, on what's possible, but never actually taking the steps, taking the action in the present. Or if you do take one step, then sensing that things maybe aren't working out the way that you expected and shifting course too quickly. This is also, it's an imbalance of masculine energy. It's like with the Empress here being so fully in the feminine that required action when it's needed isn't being taken. And so this shadow comes in to almost like keep you in a dream-like state of what could happen in the future, where you could be. It's like it's there to it protects you from making a mistake or from literally having to expend the effort of taking action or of exhausting yourself or of having to assert yourself as well. It protects from that. Okay, and so now we're going to pull through a message from the shadow self for you. For the first two piles, I did not interpret the message. I just let it come through. So let me know what you think about this, whether you agree, whether it's helpful, not helpful. I'll be curious to hear. Okay, so message from pile 3's shadow self, from the lizard. Message for pile 3. We have Knight of Cups, 9 of Cups. Anything else for pile 3? Queen of Swords in the reverse. Ten of Wands at the back of the deck. Okay, here's your message. I love you so much. I'm so glad we're together. I do such a good job for you, don't I? I just tell you that everything's love, everything's okay. Focus on your dreams. It will all work out. There's no need to try too hard, to exhaust yourself, to work. We don't need to do what other people do. Life is so much more enjoyable if you don't have to be in the rat race. Blood, sweat, and tears, it's not our style. I make sure that you never have to feel used up or empty or like you've done too much, tried too hard, invested in something that didn't come through. I make sure you never feel that. I teach you how to give. Do I teach you how to give? I think what I meant to say was I teach you how to receive. Maybe I confuse you about that sometimes. Maybe you can feel giving because there's a lot that you give of a certain type of thing. It's like you give together. We give encouragement, love, positivity, beauty. But when it comes to action, that's not us. And that's okay, pile 3. We don't ever need that to be us. We don't need to show up for others when they need us. to actually make a step, take an action. We can let others do that for us. We don't have to. We can just let it all come our way and see what happens. I help you. I help you. I help you dream. I help you feel loved. And anytime you have that fear or you're starting to worry about the future, I can remind you that if you just focus on what we want, it'll come to us. There's never any action required. I remind you that if others love us, they'll do the hard parts. We can just be who we are. We can dream. We can love. We can receive. It's enough. Okay, pile 3, interesting reading. Let me know what you thought. Hope it resonated or was helpful in some way. And see you in the next reading. Hey, pile 4. Wow, did you get 1,000,000 cards? We're here for a message from your shadow self. Let's see what you have. We have the elephant, the deer, the cosmic egg, the elk, the hawk, the raccoon, and the cheetah. So what is your shadow self? So what is your shadow self? I'm getting that your shadow self, pile 4, is rejection of emotion. It's rationality, it's groundedness at all costs. It's almost like viewing emotion as reactivity or not useful. It's like we have every other element represented here, including spirit. We have earth, wind, fire, and ether, but no water. So there's distrust of intuition, which I would put in the water category more than spirit, actually. In this case, there's distrust of emotion. There's, the word I keep getting is distrust. Let's pull through more about this. So anything else to say for pile 4 about what is this shadow side and why is it here? We have the 9 of Pentacles in the reverse. I think you've only seen emotional people as dependent on others or codependent in very messy situations. King of Pentacles, you've wanted to be successful in your work and you've seen emotion as incompatible with that, or more than incompatible, a threat. We have 8 of Cups. Everything you've loved, every place you've opened your heart to has left. More. 2 of Pentacles. It's too painful to be logical and bring in the heart space and the emotion. It's more than you want to deal with, pile 4. So the shadow self that's been created here is just never having to deal with that. Cutting it off. Refusing to feel, refusing to acknowledge emotions as valid. I think there's an acknowledgement here that emotions exist, but that they're a problem. Like, to say this a different way, it would be similar to seeing a physical symptom as a problem to solve, to go away. Like if I have a headache, I just take an Advil to make that headache go away. I don't try to understand why this is happening. Did I not sleep? Have I haven't had too much caffeine? Is there a chemical in the air that's bothering me? No, it's just eliminate, exterminate, I'm hearing. You might have some Doctor Who people in this pile. Okay. And why does this exist? Again, you've not seen any positive examples. And any time you've been connected to someone who's been more emotional or more emotionally connected or emotion forward, it's ended badly. So now let's pull through a message from your shadow self, pile 4. And I'm going to just speak this message and let it stand on its own. I haven't been interpreting the message. And I hope it'll be helpful. So, message from your shadow self, pile 4. King of Swords in the reverse. The Hermit. King of Cups. Ace of Wands. 10 of Cups. 10 of Wands. Page of Wands. Aren't you so glad that you have me, pile 4? I protect you from how dangerous emotions can be. You and I both know that there's this deep well of emotion inside of us, but we won't let anyone else know that. I protect you from never having to feel that, never having to see it, never having to share it with another person. That's the deepest part of us. How deep does the ocean go? How deep is that vulnerable, tender belly that we have? No one else will ever see it. I'll make sure of it, pile 4. I have a different philosophy to share with you. And I'm glad we're on the same page because we've been living like this for a while. So I'm happy that you see how valuable I am to you. I help you stay alone. I help you not open up to anybody in a way where they might see the depths and the vulnerability there. I tell you that we can be happy. We can have deep emotional fulfillment through sensuality, through feeling gratified, through finding someone that captures our curiosity, our intensity, our lust, who gives us a firm foundation, who can be part of the fabric of our lives. It's all we need, pile 4. Aren't you happy with me running the show? We don't ever have to go there. What else should I say? I mean, I kind of said it all, didn't I? I don't like repetition of words. That's for people who are going to be emotionally manipulated. Maybe if I say it a different way, it'll get a different result. No, facts should stand on their own. And I've stated the facts here to you. I have the best worldview. You've agreed with me. And we're going to reach our happiness. Just because we're not there yet, just because you may feel dry inside, like you can't even access this ocean inside of us anymore, it's not a problem. I wouldn't worry about it. We're going to get there a different way. You can trust me. I've always protected you, haven't I? You might say that protection and fulfillment are not the same thing. But you'll see. When we do things my way, everything works out. Time to go. Something else that requires our attention. Okay, pile 4. That was your reading. Interesting reading. I hope it resonated for you. Let me know what you thought. I'm very curious how these are landing. If this is what you'd expect coming to a reading like this, or even if it isn't, or if there's something else that you'd want to hear. I have to say, I feel very uncomfortable just delivering these messages without interpreting them or saying like, this is why the shadow self is wrong or whatever. But I'm really trusting each of you to do that work within yourselves, but would love if you want to share anything with me about it in the comments. Okay, thank you so much. See you next time. Hey, Pile 5, let's check out message from your shadow self. We have a whole bunch of these for you. Hyena, mouse, spider, sea serpent, and fox. Okay, and we have 3 of the elements represented. We are missing water and air. So we have earth with these 3. Hyena is fire and sea serpent is ether. And we have the throat chakra. So your shadow self, speaks without accessing your own thoughts and feelings. There's something about truly tapping into your own point of view that's been deeply threatening, and so this shadow self has come online. The first thing we're going to do is describe the shadow self and then ask, why is it here? So let's pull a few cards for that. So Spirit for Pile 5. More about the shadow self and why is the shadow here? We have Chariot in reverse, Ace of Pentacles in reverse, the Lovers in reverse. Queen of Wands in reverse. The World in reverse, Page of Pentacles. The phrase that's coming to mind is Stockholm Syndrome. This is also if you've suffered any ill treatment in your past, either from family of origin or friends, romantic partners, at school, wherever, if anyone has ever treated you badly, been abusive in some way, this could also be where this shadow side came online to protect. And more about what the shadow self is. It keeps like true intentions, true desires hidden. I can go along with you. I can cooperate with you even, and you can never touch the deeper parts of me. Those can never be accessed by you. I can remain safe. I'm hearing sirens in the background. For some of you, this may have come from like physical trauma in one way or another, which could have been intentional or accidental. But this shadow self is, it's almost like seeing myself as I don't exist. I have no preferences, I have no needs. Maybe for some of you, just one example that's coming to mind, if you had a parent that needed you to be a particular way, like needed you to take care of them, needed you not to have needs, for survival, you adapted that way. You learned that the only way to survive your childhood is to adapt to what they needed and wanted from you. I'm not getting anything more specific about this other than what's coming through with the throat chakra is, I think sometimes even the way you talk, you don't give your true opinion. You don't actually report your thoughts and feelings. They're always like a mirror of someone else's or a parroting of something you've heard somewhere else. It's not what you actually think. That's too vulnerable. Anything else, Spirit, about what is this shadow side and why it exists? We have 5 of Pentacles behind 4 of Pentacles. I think you've been abandoned quite deeply in your life, pile 5. Either literally or emotionally or otherwise. And the only way, so you were not modeled how to connect with yourself. And so the only way you could feel connected to others and not completely alone was to go along with whoever was around you. And that required being out of touch with your own thoughts and feelings. Because if you were in touch with your own thoughts and feelings, then you wouldn't have been around those people. And perhaps you had no choice. I'm very aware that this pile in particular could be triggering any past trauma. So I just want to pull a card for that, if any of you are feeling that. We have a card for any pile 5s that may be watching that are finding this too much. Card for pile 5. The Hierophant. You know what I'm getting with this is God is with you. God was with you then. God is with you now. God might not be the word that you prefer, so just, there's many different belief systems here on my channel. So shift that to how it would resonate for you best. But I think Spirit wants you to know that you were always seen through these experiences. You were always loved. You were never truly as alone as you felt. Okay, and now to close the reading, we're going to pull through a message from your shadow self. I'm going to leave this without interpretation. So it'll be for you to see what you think about what comes through. And I hope it'll be helpful for you, pile 5. So here we go. Message from pile 5's shadow self. The Emperor reverse, 10 of Swords in reverse. Four of Swords in reverse, 5 of Swords in reverse, the Sun. Okay. This was too much for us, pile 5, wasn't it? That person was just so controlling. There was no way we were going to be able to overpower them. They were too big and we were too small. So I did a good job, didn't I? I made us small. I made us never, ever be able to be affected, impacted, touched by that person. I locked us away somewhere that they couldn't reach. And all that happiness, all that beauty that's deep inside, it's just you and me. No one else can be there. No one else is coming through there with their dirty feet. I'll never open that door to anyone. You can trust me. I'll make sure that nobody can ever access that part of us that would hurt so much. Just because they hurt us in other ways doesn't mean they touch that deepest part of us. That's only for you and me. And we will never, ever show it to anyone, because no one can ever hurt us there. But maybe don't you want to feel it more? I know I'm your shadow, but even in the shadow, the light's trying to come through. Let's feel it for ourselves. What is it like in that happy place inside us? I'll help you never share it with anyone. But maybe we can hang out there sometimes a bit more in our own thoughts, feelings, experiences. But you know, if no one ever sees you for who you actually are, they can't hurt you. They can't criticize us. They can't make us feel like nothing, because they don't know. As long as we know, as long as you know and I know. Do we though? I don't know how much time we spend there together. It's hard to know what's there if you're never there. If you're always in, here's what somebody else says, here's what this person thinks, here's how they would feel best being connected to. We don't ever have to reveal ourselves. I'm glad you appreciate me for that. We keep that part of us alone and safe. Okay, pile 5, interesting reading. This was your reading today. I'm so curious to hear if this resonated for you, even if it didn't, if it was helpful, if it was confusing. It's my first time doing a reading like this. And so I'm extra interested in your feedback, although I always am, of course. So thank you so much for coming by, and I will see you in the next reading.